the dad has destroyed him and feels bad about it. He's got to bury him. It stinks. Oh, even in death, he's. I don't know what he realizes. He's like, I can't bury it. It's just everywhere. I have to eat it.
Why would he jump to that conclusion?
I don't know.
Hello, and welcome to StoryFellas, the podcast where we make stories and we break stories. I'm your host, Tommy Antonucci.
And I'm your host, Zach Lovelace.
You guys don't know it, but I botched the intro multiple times before that.
So many times. I had so many jokes queued up that they'll just never see the light of day now.
Never. Zach, how's life? You've got your pink background. You ready to tell a story today?
I'm ready to tell a story tonight, man. Yeah, life is good, dude. Life is good. I don't know. I think last time we talked, I broke a guy's arm. My documentary's moving along. You know, we got these.
How many people have you injured since last time we recorded?
Emotionally?
Any emotionally, physically.
That tends to be the one that is most common. But nobody, Lord willing, no one I've hurt. Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty chill week since I've seen you last. What about you, man?
It's been good. Ventured over towards the coast, over near Hilton Head, visiting some family. Mm-hmm. I don't have family living there, but we had some visiting, and it was one of those trips where they're like, hey, if you want to visit too, it's like, yeah, we will crash and hang out at the beach a little bit. So that was nice. It was refreshing. I'm back in the swing of things, just doing chores, we always talk about it, trying to cut down social media time to make more time for things that matter.
Like StoryFellas.
And like StoryFellas. Someday I'll record 20 hours a day of StoryFellas. Sleep 4, just constant
24
recording.
hours, one story in 24 hours. That would actually be pretty interesting. You just do a normal story game and then you just keep going for 24 hours.
I thought you were going to say 24 stories.
No.
In a marathon. We spend 24 hours to make one story.
Yeah.
You could probably that actually would be like a telethon, like television marathon situation. I feel like we could get most of a thing, like a really thorough outline of something.
You could get a couple scenes written. I don't think you can do the whole thing.
Unless you burnt out, unless the ideas started plateauing after a certain amount of time.
We've never really explored getting into that second hour. We've gotten, an hour and 15, I think the furthest we've ever gotten, but an hour, another hour, you'd be surprised. You go back and you revise it again and again and again and again and again.
It's a lot of concentrated. Yeah, it's concentrated creativity. I think we need a guest, maybe. I think we need a third person to help.
They can come and go. They can come and go.
They're like, we bring in a guest for an 8-hour marathon of StoryFellas, and within 20 minutes they're like, I'm out, and they just hang up the call.
All right, guys, I gotta go. Yeah, no, actually,
I gotta go.
It would be interesting to call those road trip episodes because, hey, if you got a road trip to 8 hours away, put this on and you listen to this story and we just go. I don't know, man. It might have been a genius idea. You don't have to use the word genius, but
Hey, we would have to carve out some time from our busy lives, but I would not be opposed. I occasionally listen. I don't have podcasts that are that long, but I think I've told you before, I made a little YouTube video at one point on how to download the audio from YouTube videos. Cause I had friends send me debates. They're like, you should listen to this debate.
Oh yeah.
It's 3.5 hours, but then I'll download the audio and play it in as a podcast. And it's just something that you take in chunks. It's like watching a movie in increments. But all that being said, man,
we'd have to live stream it. That's what it would have to be. It had to be a live stream on our YouTube channel.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool, man.
Anyway,
well, I'm ready to tell a story, man. And I believe you've got something prepared for us.
Oh, I got something for you, man. I got something for you. You got to roll a 10-sided die.
A 10-sided die. Here we go. Rolling. And it's a 9.
A 9. Oh, boy.
A 9.
What did you get? Okay.
No, I don't know. You're okay. I thought you were asking me.
Interesting.
I'm like, you're the
No,
guy with
no,
the
no,
thing.
no. All right, here we go. So we're rolling off of my image deck. And so I need to share my screen with Tommy. Let's see, share my screen.
Yep. And for those who, hey, go to our YouTube if you want to see our faces while we're telling this story. But I will describe the
Boom.
image for those listening. Oh my gosh. Okay. What? I'm looking at. It's a black and white photo, and
Mhm.
it's a man, an older man in a suit, and holding a woman. Both of them look very concerned at this giant glob monster with a big eyeball.
Mhm.
It looks like this photo's from like the 30s or 40s or something like that. Do I get context of what this photo is?
No,
Okay, cool.
nothing.
Is it? Am I unsure? Is it just a blob, or is it supposed to be something? It kind of looks like a weird duck a little bit.
It is. It's definitely a movie monster. I think it's a B movie 1950s kind of schlocky monster. So it looks a little paper mache. Doesn't look
Hmm.
super well done. But imagine like a really low budget Power Ranger bad guy when he's smaller, when he hasn't blown up to be Megazord size. That's what we're
Yeah,
looking at here. Is like,
he's like blobby and only comes up to shoulder height on the man and woman. So he's kind of like a short,
yeah.
big-eyed monster. The eye is the size of their
And we don't
heads.
know the rest of his body. The rest of his body could be way bigger, you know.
It could be like an octopus
Yeah.
arms, tentacles. It could be little
Based on the
little
lack
stubby
of
arms.
definition, I imagine he doesn't have anything. You know, he's not
Yeah.
like spider legs or anything underneath there, but kind of from this angle, he does look like a blobfish. Have you ever seen a blobfish before?
No, I do. I've not. Oh, Zach is pulling it up for me. Blobfish. Oh, he does. They got like noses. Look at them. Those things.
Yeah, it's because
What?
they look a certain
That doesn't
way.
look real. That looks like something someone made in AI.
And here we go with the AI thing. So it's because they live so far down that when they bring them up to the surface, they decompress and
Mm.
they just become these kind of goopy looking
Oh,
things.
so the one smoother fish,
Yeah.
the other one that you showed me at the top that looks like spiky, like that's
Yeah.
what. Oh no,
That's
click
what
the
it
one where
actually looks
there's a
like.
top and a bottom one.
Oh, where's that
So
at?
that's
Right
like
here.
normal. That's like what it
Yep.
normally looks like in the deep
Yep.
water, and then it like expands. It looks like Kirby that
Hmm.
had some dental surgery.
Yeah, he's got like big, like weird lips, like old man, like some weird cartoon kind of face. And then
Yeah.
people have sold like just funny looking because it's kind of a meme fish. Ooh, what's inside the blobfish? So I kind of want to, I kind of want to play with that. I kind of, there's a little bit of this energy,
Okay.
blobfish
Blob,
energy.
blobfish energy. I like it. Y'all, I encourage you to check out the YouTube video for this one because it might help you understand
And we'll
what I
post
just
the
saw.
image. We'll post the image when it comes along to it, to give you some context alongside our normal AI image. So yeah, that's what you got, man.
If we remember.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So we've got old school. We've got blob. We got blob. Um,
And like a father-daughter kind of
I
relationship, that's what it looks like.
yeah, like the daughter's like 30s, the father's like maybe
Mm-hmm.
upper 50s or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to my first reaction is going to like some Disney Channel movie like where it's like family weird comedy.
Mm.
But we could also go weird horror. It just depends on
Yeah, that's true. I
what we want to
think
take this blob.
that's true. Genre-wise, they were afraid of it. So I think
Mhm.
there's a little bit of that in there, but that could be from anything.
What
It
if
could,
that's her husband?
I was gonna say, what if that was a family member that got turned into that? So there's a little bit of endearing kind of plot, whatever it is. It's a little like The Fly. Um
Mhm.
either
Everyone
version.
talks about the fly. Everyone talks about the fly. I've
I
not
mentioned it
seen the
last
fly.
episode because there's an arm breaking scene in it, arm wrestling, arm breaking scene in it. But that's the David Cronenberg version. There's also a 1950s version, which is famous for its own right. Also kind of in that kind of schlock family, as that image looks like. So maybe that's where we go. Um,
All right, so we got a big blob. We've got a family that are concerned about it. Uh, I kind of want to migrate them more modern day a little bit.
Yeah, that's
We could
fine.
put them old school, but I kind of like them in modern day. Uh, I kind of want it either to be her husband or her son or child like turns into this thing
Yeah.
because I think that's kind of funny. That kind of takes us out of the horror route. That takes us more into the like family weird quirky adventure.
We could go a little like we did with this Stuart Little story where it's like it's a normal story, normal drama,
Mhm.
but it just happens to have this blob in it. One weird thing.
I'm trying to nail down the genre, which way I want to go. I feel like it feels too cut and dry for horror, you know?
Oh,
It's
I
like, oh, you
agree.
have a
I
blob
agree.
monster, so I think it needs to be a musical instead. Where no,
Interesting. Yeah,
no,
okay. Okay, I could get behind doing something weird with the genre. There's only so many genres, so if you want it to be serious or do you want it to be funny, it could be an action movie. They could be the only two humans left, and everyone else is a blob.
that sounds like Rick and Morty.
Oh, it does. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Most things sound like Rick and Morty, when you get
Yeah,
really weird.
the 7 degrees of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I'm trying to think what would instigate this because this could be. I think that's will help me figure out the blob.
Yeah.
Are we living in a science fiction world? Is there magic to this world? Is this a curse? Like someone did something wrong and they deserve this? It kind of got inflicted on that. That I think we need to also determine is this blob the protagonist? Because
Yeah, that's
that will
true.
be like, oh, are we following this blob doing something? Or
Yeah.
is the blob, what if it's like the sun and he turns into the blob only in certain situations? It's like the Hulk, but like way
Okay.
less impressive.
That's true. I think that's very werewolfy. If it's if it's a bad thing, like, oh, I transformed and now I can't do what I need to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do like that it's the husband, like help I married a
Okay.
blob kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I do want to get away from the Rick and Morty thing. So like the dad shouldn't be an inventor. It's like just a
Yeah.
normal dad that didn't accidentally turn. What if they're like in the process of getting a divorce or something? And we can say something about that whole process by having him be blobby. Um, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So is the story between the wife and him, and then maybe the other older gentleman is like the lawyer. Maybe it's
Oh,
not
sure,
her
yeah,
dad.
yeah, divorce lawyer.
Who's yeah. I keep coming back to this thought that he's a blob, and at first that seems bad, but everybody else, maybe not his wife or ex-wife to be, but everyone else loves blob him. Like it's
Yeah, yeah,
like he becomes really like it's I don't know, a little dig deepish where it's like this
the weird
this
thing
problem
takes
that he
off.
has, the weird
Yeah.
thing like empowers him in some way.
Mm.
Um
Blobby,
I just think that could be funny. So it's like, all
Blobably.
right, I'm just gonna. Did you say blobably or
Yeah, I
probably?
said blobably. Yeah, yeah,
um,
blobably, blobably.
I'm gonna blobbly. I'm just gonna spit out. I also am feeling like there's a little bit of Office Space, like where he gets
Oh, sure.
hypnotized,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then it's like his life's great for a little while
Well,
because he doesn't get
it's like
unhypnotized.
Kafka with the metamorphosis. He wakes up as a bug. He wakes up
I
as a
don't know what
big.
Kafka is.
Oh, you don't
Is that
know
like
anything
the
about?
flaw? Do you only watch movies where guys turn into bugs?
No, he's an author.
Oh, what is it? Is it a
Yeah, it's a
book?
famous book, Metamorphosis, where it's like this dude wakes up as a bug and his family hates him afterward. And I don't know. I've never read it, but everybody always people say things are Kafka-esque, like
Oh,
weird,
I've never
kind
heard
of
that. Now I'm
uh,
very curious. Like, is he like Tiny Bug and his family hates him? They're like, we
no, he's
hate
like a
you because you're a
man-sized
little.
bug. He's like a big beetle.
Oh,
And he's like stuck on his back.
okay.
And I don't know. I think if we go Charlie Kaufman, that could be good. So like adaptation, Anomalisa, where we could really commit to this. That could make it Kafka-esque, where this
Mhm.
guy is a blob and he's like, for some reason, I don't even know who I am. And that's the whole thing. And that actually kind of fits with the remasculator plot is that he literally has no definition. he has no boundary.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
blob. So it could just
Yeah.
be magic realism in terms of he wakes up one day, or maybe it happened over time and he's just like, I got less and less constituted. I have no constitution. And
Yeah.
and his wife is like wants to leave him and stuff, and so he's trying to make it work.
Oh, okay. All right. You're sparking some ideas in my head.
Okay.
First one's a dumb one, but I do want to fight for this a little bit. Can his name be Bob?
No.
Come on, Zach. Bob the Blob?
I know, because that was in
is that like, does that exist?
That's
somewhere?
a thing. That's a thing. The blue blob from the Monsters movie, where it has like the gigantic woman.
Monsters versus Aliens or something?
Yes. Wow, look at you.
The
Like he doesn't know. Monsters versus Aliens? The masterpiece, Monsters versus Aliens.
I turn and on my shelf I have like the Blu-rays and the advanced signed copies. Okay, well then I won't fight for it if there's already a Bob the Blob. But I thought that was fun.
Yes, he's played by Seth Rogen.
That's ringing some bells. The thing that I like is something like Howl's Moving Castle, that it is dependent on his self-esteem. And there's moments like, I don't know if you remember Howl's Moving Castle, where she's like cursed to be an old woman.
Yeah.
But like there's like glimpses where like she will become young just for like a second, and then like she like comes back, and it's like something where we get glimpses like if in those like little moments where he starts to develop, like he gains a bit more, maybe not full human, but like he gains more form.
Yeah.
And then it kind of drops off again. I like that it's all, and then until the end when it like finally like clicks and whatever the curse is lifted or something.
I like that a lot. There's a scene, I'm trying to remember, it's from Deconstructing Harry, which is a Woody Allen movie, which has a bunch of little vignettes in it. But one of them is it's basically a short story film where all these different shorts happen. One of them is of Robin Williams, and his character is an actor who's out of focus, and so he has a very similar
like
issue.
in camera he's out of focus.
In real life, like he's an actor, and then he's just like the actors, the director, they're all talking like, what's wrong with the camera? Something wrong with the camera? It's like, no, it's the actor. Look at him. And that kind of pulls out of the camera, and you'll see him, and he's just like out of focus. So they send him home for the day. Yeah. And he's just like, I don't know what's wrong. And his family's like, are you okay? Maybe you're not hydrated. And he gets all mad at him and stuff. It's really cool. So
that's actually really clever. I want to see that little.
You should watch it, and obviously, audience, you should watch it too. The whole little short is on YouTube, but and it's Robin Williams. So like, what's not to love? And he's completely out of focus the entire time. So it's great.
That's really funny. Just out of the principle of like behind the curtain, it's like, we're gonna hire Robin Williams for this piece.
Yes,
and you're barely gonna see him the entire time.
Yeah, I again, that movie is okay in terms of Woody Allen movies, but that is the thing that stuck with me because it's really clever. But we just take that idea and we make it more literal, where they become blobby. I like the idea that it only happens to men. You know, maybe it's a little bit of
it's like the whole world, or like multiple people this happens to.
Yeah, and so it's just like, oh, my husband is, he's a blob, and you can hear women saying that even nowadays, like men who are just total bumps on logs or literally blobs who don't do anything. They don't fight for anything. They don't protect their family at all. And then you have like, it could be really interesting. I don't know what we're really saying. Could it be an animated movie? I know you kind of said the Howl's Moving Castle thing.
Yeah, I feel like this could be I could see this almost like as an animated short on Vimeo.
Yes, has that.
Which obviously we're trying to branch it out into a bigger story, like a feature. But yeah, something that's animated, that's like maybe even 3D animated, not like a classic 2D cartoon or something. Yeah, I like opening up on this world where maybe they're watching The Blob, like the movie, classic movie on thing. And it's like, and there's like people are screaming over the blob, and then they pan out and they're like, Dad, I'm going to go to the movies. And then it cuts to the couch, and it's just like this blob. He's like, okay, honey.
And it just like bubbles come up, and they go like, and like it's almost like in SpongeBob when they said words into the bubbles and then they popped and like the whole sentence would come out. It'd be like that. So just like, okay.
I like that.
Oh, Dad's saying something. He wasn't actually saying anything. He just actually just farted. You can never tell. You never know what's about to come out.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm getting some vibes from this where it's like that's what that we kind of open up on that with the bubble thing, and because I'm trying to interpret like what the audience knows about this world, like really quickly establish, and then the wife comes in, she's like, "Honey, I thought you were gonna go do the errands," and then it's like the blob like it pops off and like gets in its car, and then you see like other people on the street. Like I want to establish really quickly that not all men like
Yeah.
if this is a world thing, we have to establish really quickly that one, it's not just this one man, and two, that not all men look like this. Like there are normal guys, or maybe there's like less formed guys. There's kind of like sloppy Joes out there.
Guys that are just like you see a date and the guy's just like really sweaty and slobby, and the girl they're on like a Tinder date or whatever, and he's just like and she's like, when did you take this profile picture? And it's him like forever ago, and he's like super ripped and everything, and now he's all globby.
Yeah. And I think I think him, the blob, having a friend. I feel like we might have made a joke like this what was last episode? Because I feel like I'm about. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Where there's like someone who's kind of nerdy or dweeby, but they're very confident in themselves. So it's like, they're like perfectly like shaped, like not like ripped, but they're like they have their form and their body.
They know who they are.
I know I'm a nerd.
Yeah,
I know who I am, and that kind of thing. But he's like, you gotta have a backbone. You don't have any bones right now.
Yeah, I mean that's literally what it is an invertebrate. I do want to avoid like philosophically saying that people can create themselves, because there's so much about our identities that we can't create. So it's really more about rising up to your identity rather than creating your identity. Like, I know who I am. I know that can be true in both senses, but I just think philosophically we don't want to tell that kind of story, because I just fundamentally don't believe that. I think that, again, there's so much about yourself that you don't even get to choose when you were born, why you were born, how you were born, what you are, like all that
stuff. It's more like rising to the occasion, like being
fulfilling
kind of what other stories we've told before, where it's like being the father figure, being the leader of some sort.
In that way, it is very similar to Dig Deep. So maybe we can find some other ways to shake this up. I guess having other guys also be blobby would be the way to go. Or you just take the framing of the device where it's like not about a husband doing it, but maybe like a dad and a mom, and the daughter brings home a blob. So it's a little bit of like, guess who's coming home, or guess who's coming to dinner. And so she brings this total loser, and she wants to marry this total loser. And they're like, I don't want you in my family. Have you ever noticed that he's like, doesn't have a lot of shape. He doesn't have a lot of goals. I like that, because then it's like about the dad, his arc of maybe helping the son-in-law or future son-in-law become more of a man.
Okay. I was going to say, I think the blob not being the dad, I think the blob being the dad feels way too similar.
And according to the picture, the dad isn't a blob.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got daughter brings home blob.
Yeah, let's get some names. Some names.
Dad, Richard.
Sure. Richard.
Mom, Laura.
Yeah. Perfect.
Nice. Perfect. Richard and Laura are the parents.
Yep.
The daughter's name is
Susanna.
Susan.
Yeah. Susan's fine. Sue.
We can do Susanna.
That's a very classic name. So I was trying to find something a little bit wilder. Susanna's not that.
Well, maybe she goes by Xana.
Ooh, that's cool. I was just gonna say that.
Too late. I said it. You said it. You teased me up. And then Blob is Robert.
no. Rob the Blob.
I almost tricked you. I almost got you.
You almost got me, dude. No, his name's Derek.
Derek the Blob?
Yeah.
That feels, yeah.
It's just a normal kind of like normal dude name.
Yeah. Okay, so set the scene. I think we're at the parents' house, and they're getting ready because their daughter's coming home from college or something.
Yeah,
For
it's
like a
classic.
break.
Yeah, you know this story. You know the setup.
Yeah, you've seen this before, and then the wife kind of sneaks in something. He's like, "Why are we getting this place so spiffy?" And then she kind of sneaks. It's like, "Well, maybe she's bringing someone." And he's like, "What do you mean she's bringing someone here?" Like he didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they open the door, and then it's her, and she gives hugs, and she's like, "Oh, Derek's getting my bags." and then they go out, and then there's just this blob with like a suitcase, like blit, jutting out of it, and like just like popping up. And they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I think but then I don't know if we need to. I think that's a very funny image introducing people to blobs, but we need to really quickly, unless we just want this to be like a short and it's like this one dude's the blob.
No,
how do we show
that
this happens in the rest of the world?
You just have the dad explain. He's like, he pulls the mom aside and he's like, when I was a kid, or maybe he says it at dinner to his daughter, he's trying to make small talk, but he's really being subtextually angry. You know, it's like, when I was a kid, you know, I only knew one kid who was a blob. Like I only knew one, there was only one blob back in the day. And now it really seems to be a popular thing to be a blob. And Derek's just like, I don't know, Derek can be funny.
Yeah.
You know, somewhat witty or whatever.
Do you want maybe we just commit to the bubble talk, or do you want him to talk?
I think that's cool. It's just, thanks, Mrs. Whatever Robertson.
Thanks, Mrs. Laura. Can I use your bathroom?
Yeah.
She's like, no.
No, actually, let him do it. Let him do it. Maybe he'll flush himself down. The husband turns to the wife and he's just like, you know, the suction in that toilet's pretty strong. I'm really hoping it sucks him down.
This is funny because this movie exists. I think there was a movie with Bryan Cranston called Why Ham.
It is Why Ham, and it's in that same family of you know, Meet the Parents. Guess who's coming to dinner? Why?
Yeah, but it's just absurdist in the sense that like just.
Yeah, he's just
like
a blob.
These wasteoid boys are.
Honestly, I'm committed to the idea that he does not, like, the dad kills the blob at the end. Like, I kind of just, because it's like, you know, you think we're going to get there, we're going to reveal that he's really a human and all this kind of stuff. But then at the end of the day, it's like, no, he's just literally a blob. And, you know, I don't know. And it's like the dad has destroyed him and feels bad about it. He's got to bury him. It stinks. Oh, even in death, he's. I don't know what he realizes. He's like, I can't bury it. It's just everywhere. I have to eat it.
Why would he jump to that conclusion?
I don't know. But then he just like bakes it into something. Then it's like, oh, I don't know where Derek went. He ran off with that blob next door.
Now I would be fine in 3/4 through the movie if he thought he killed him. If he came back somehow, like I don't know if you want to, how blue you want to get if he eats this blob and then this is the boss to him, and then it's like, and then Derek's like, oh, I'm in here.
I'm part of you.
But I do think ending with him killing her love, like, what is that movie teaching? Like, what is the lesson to be learned in that movie?
Beware of dad, man. Beware of dad. You better not come home as a blob. That's all I gotta say.
No,
I don't know. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I think. I don't know.
Because the natural
recipe being funny, you know.
That is funny, and I do think at some point, because the thing is, if he thought he killed Derek, like how do you even know that you killed Derek? He's a blob. Like, it's just like, he's not talking. I think I killed him.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's like, I ate him, or I fed him. I fed him to the dog, or whatever.
Oh man,
that's so funny. I need that to happen. I need it to happen, Tommy.
Okay, well, we're gonna have.
You're right though.
Derek
They're right though.
Temporarily die.
Thematically,
the recipe for this story, because this goes a couple ways. It's where Derek rises to the occasion, or Richard learns to accept Derek, or in truth, a little bit of both. Like they kind of both do that.
Yeah.
But and then at some point Richard kills Derek or thinks he does.
Well, he can do it. He can do it. He can do it. He just has to confess to it at the end. Okay. And then maybe we realize that
what do you mean? Like it's like what he confesses to killing this blob, and then he's just like, and then what does the daughter say?
She's just like, I hate you. I hate you. And he's just like, that's okay. It was the price to pay. You know, I needed to save you. I needed to save you from making the worst decision of your life. As a dad, I know, man. I know.
I think these blobs are still human in this world, so he is committing murder.
I guess it is tied to the origin of the blobs. Like, are they blobs? Are they really humans who have like, you know, not risen up to their greatest potential? And you know, those are
okay.
Go ahead.
If you're one to say these blobs are like a different species that just are different, like, or like, I thought we were still in the vein of like the blobs are people that are just like aimless and not very responsible with their life.
I think
and then they
the blobs are
people.
But they're not necessarily like magically cursed people. But that's if you want to make the killing thing work. Yeah.
Like if they're different species, and also that Derek does not talk. We don't hear Derek talk at all. Like we hear gurgles and bubbles. Because I think at that point, like he's like she understands him and like people understand him, but it's just like just like that kind of noise.
Oh, you're so funny, Derek.
You're so funny. And then she's like making out with the blob.
Man. The dad just watches it like from behind like the blinds in the other room. He's just watching them.
Yeah.
It's like, that gives me an idea.
If you want to go that route, it's very funny. It's very funny. It almost feels like YouTube short or like short film.
Totally,
like
totally.
She's just dating this weird creature blob that doesn't talk, and it just kind of like it's leaving slime on the carpet.
Yeah.
But then he's like, this feels like eerily similar to a story that I've had in my mind a long time ago that I think I pitched to you. But I like it. It's this monster. It's kind of like Meet the Parents, and then he's just like. He's like, honey, I have to kill Derek.
Yeah, and then the wife helps him. Yeah, I just think, you know, the reality of it is like, I want to kind of make fun of this genre. I think that actually would be funny. Like it's following all these tropes, and then suddenly it goes somewhere where it's like, oh, they were never going to be human. We set that up, but that's actually not true. Like you come to find out something about the blob race or whatever. And then at the end, I mean, we can have his dad like confess to it. We see Derek's parents in court and they're just like, they're all crying and everything.
Oh, that's fun. It's like the whole side of the courtroom is just blobs.
Yeah.
This is a blob. Yeah, it's where I don't want this to spill into like I don't know, some sort of racism story.
I was going to say that's
like
the only thing you want to avoid. And so that's why the dad getting punished is actually, I think, covers that base a little bit where, again, that's not what makes it funny. What makes it funny is that
what makes it funny because it's like and we're like stretching the reality so much, like trying to make it as absurd that it's like a pile of slime that this woman's dating, and it's like, why are you being so mean to him, Dad? It's like, am I the dad's like the only rational guy in the situation. He's like, you can't date a blob, and she's like, I'm gonna marry him one day, Dad.
Yeah, it's more about the total collapse of the father-daughter relationship. And I think, again, this is getting like really into the meta of it, but even having the dad have a black friend who's also a dad, and he's like, I wouldn't let my daughter date a blob. You know, it just it's really showing that it's not a race thing. It's like literally, I guess technically, you know, alien race type thing. They're from some other place, but they've just always been there. And they're just like, they can embody the worst behaviors in people. And I guess making them sentient is what makes you kind of draw the conclusion that it would be some other race or the representative of it or whatever, but they aren't. I mean, it's just, his name is literally Derek.
Yeah, Derek. I think them being barely sentient helps with this delivery.
That's
It's
also
like
true,
cousin.
yeah.
It's like cousin it. Like it doesn't have a
Yes,
face.
yes.
Like I want it to not. I know the picture had an eye. I don't want it to have a face. It's like just kind of this like muck, like this
Yes.
big pile of muck
Even Muck
that's
has a
perpetually
face.
oozing. Yeah, not the Pokemon muck, just like
Oh, okay.
but like the Pokemon muck, but without a face. Like it's just
Yes.
this blah, blah, blah. And I like that occasionally there's like bubbles that are just like noises, and sometimes it is a fart that comes
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's like maybe that's his like the dad's having his confrontation with Derek. He's like, I don't want you dating my daughter. I want you out of here. And then this bubble slowly pops up, and it's just a fart in his face, and he's like, and he starts wrestling the blob
Yeah,
and
I
like
like
punching it.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And the blobs can be like self-defense. They can like acidically burn him. You know, he's he's like fighting it or whatever. I think that's funny. I think that also would be funny if they were weak to water or something. Like if it just
Yeah.
rained, and so all he has to do is just like turn on the water hose to kill him.
Yeah,
It's not like
I think
he has to
there's
do anything complicated.
there's okay. So here's a decision we can make about Richard and Derek. Is if he has premeditated plans of murdering him, because that like both,
I just spat. I just spat. You gotta pull that clip.
because there's two different ways we could go about this, because both can be funny. So he either is premeditative, where he's like talking to the wife. I like that his wife Laura is like, I think he's nice. I
Yeah,
think
of course.
he's a polite young man.
Of course.
And then she goes to bed, and he's like, Laura, you awake? And then it's just him like reflecting. He's like, I'm gonna kill him. And like it's like him like planning like. But then it could also be funny. Like I like that idea where it's like this confrontation where he's really just like saying like, I don't want you to date my daughter.
Yeah.
I don't like, and then they get in a fight and a scrap, and somehow like he accidentally like knocks over like a vase of water and like accidentally kills him.
Yes.
Because then that could be like this like, oh no. Like that also makes him not as, I know they're not humans and they're like so far from humans that we could lean into him planning it and it's funny. But if we just wanted to avoid that
something
altogether,
tender. He could see something. He could see Derek do something really nice for his daughter, for Xana, and you know he starts to soften on him a little bit, and he's like, okay, you know, like I'll give it some time. I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to put my foot down super hard. I also think an ex-boyfriend would be a really good character to bring in.
Oh, that's fun. Is he a human dude?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And he's like,
he was also a bad guy. Like,
yes,
he was a bad guy. He was like a biker dude. Like,
yeah,
he's like smoking, but then like the dad
blob.
No, the dad loves him in comparison to like the blob.
At least Peter was human.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. No, he comes to the ex-boyfriend and he's like, hey, I know we had our differences, but I really want you to kill this blob. Because he's a criminal.
You're still on the, yeah. I feel like that's not what he would. I think he would come to the ex-boyfriend to try to win back the girl. You know, like I think he would come to him and he's like Xana still talks about you. And he's like, really? Yeah. Really?
I'm so glad the restraining order is still in place. You know, it's like, yeah, technically she talks about you, dude.
Yeah, but I like the idea. I feel like that it is very funny for him to plan like some sort of steps to kill him. And I'm not writing that off. But it is also funny if he accidentally kills him and we have this kind of fun and games situation of him having to cover up this blob's murder.
Yes.
Of like, they're like, Dad, have you seen Derek? He's like, oh, and he's like, there's just like ooze all over the floor that's flattened
he's in
out.
Here,
and
honey.
he's like,
he like fakes the noises.
And he's like vacuuming up the thing.
Yeah.
And like,
no, I got it. So the ex-boyfriend, his name is Rex. Okay, well let's give him.
I like that, Rex.
His name's Rex. And you know, Rex is like, yeah, man, and it's like W.
He speaks in the third person.
Yeah, WRECK because he's always wrecking his car. Yeah, my name's Rex. And he's like, yeah, Xana talks about you a lot. He like goes to the car to like the mechanic where Rex works. And he's like, you know, hey, she still talks about you. And he's like, your car's checking out, Mr. Robertson, you know. And he's like, well, why don't I make some small talk? And he's like, maybe you should go stop by, you know. And he's like, oh, you really think so? I'm like, yeah. And he talks up Derek. He's like, oh well, she's got this other boyfriend, but he's like really bad to her. And he's actually hit her and all this kind of stuff. And, like lying to Rex. And he's like, oh man, that's effed up. That is effed up, man. And so then he like takes
this guy sounds like he's 40 years old with the voice you're doing.
That's true. So he shows up, and I like the idea that it's like, oh, Derek stepped out for a smoke. So Derek's outside smoking. The Blob, obviously, and Rex's like tow truck pulls up, and he's like, "Hey, you like to push little girls around, my girl Xana around, and Derek just straight up eats him. So Derek kills Rex, and then we're
Derek the Blob eats Rex.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were saying Rex just comes to the Blob and eats the Blob.
I'm gonna eat you.
That's the
little Blob.
Reaction.
Hey, little Blob. No. He dissolves him like classic Blob.
I like the idea. Okay, hear me out. There's a couple of things.
It was self-defense, Dad. It was self-defense.
This is funny because this is all just like jokes. Like this episode is all just like jokes and payoffs, which I like. I think that's what this movie is about.
For sure.
I had this one funny thought where Rex comes in. He's like, I want to have a talk with you. And then the dad's like, yeah. And then like he leaves. And then he comes back. And then Rex is like crying. And he's like, you're right, man. I just never took things seriously. Like it's like somehow Derek is like
he's convinced him.
He's like, I'm going back to school. That's funny. But I do like the idea that Derek is like pulls up and then he's like, hey, you and your mother should go get some ice cream or get a pedicure on me. And so like and then like there's like him and Derek in the yard. And he's like, yeah. He keeps checking his watch. He's like, I gotta go in and check something. And he's like looking out the window. And then Rex comes up in his car, his like souped up car. He's like, you think you can just hurt girls? And then just plows into Derek with his car.
He just hits him.
And then it's like, but then it's like the car, it's like, and then he's like, and then like the Blob just absorbs the whole car and just dissolves it and eats
him. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I like that he gets out with a tire iron. He's like, hey, buddy. And he goes to hit him and it just goes right through it. And then it just goes right into his mouth like flubber. And then it dissolves him from the inside out. And all that's left is like his mechanic uniform that says like the patch that says Rex. And the dad's just yeah. The dad has to get rid of the car.
Oh man, that's he runs out. Do we think the dad also understands Derek? Do we just want to make it that the world understands Derek, like when he does like the bubbles and
probably,
sound?
Yeah, probably.
I think that helps make the like he's like
it can still frustrate the dad, like
yeah. He's like you just killed that man, and it's like and he's like, what do you mean it was self-defense? He's like,
yeah,
and then him and Derek have to get in the car. Like they both drive. He's like, we have to get rid of this car. And then like, there's like, it's like the dad driving it and this Blob next to him. They're like,
I like that because then they can bond a little bit.
Yeah. I think, okay. I'm on board. If they do this bonding route, then I think he doesn't kill him. Like he still maybe has these antics and stuff to,
I think he could get rid of him in the end somehow, or
hold on,
gets rid of himself. Go ahead.
What if there's all this back and forth with him and the Blob, and then like they do a little bit of bonding and stuff, but then there's this miscommunication or whatever. Xana comes to her dad and she's all crying. And she's like, Derek broke up with me. And then it's like, I like their like where the dad has to go to Derek because he knows like it's like, oh, it's because of all my pushing, and he has to kind of come to terms and like basically be like, no, like don't hurt her because of, like I don't know. I feel that's like a classic ending, but I feel like that's funny that the Blob would break up with her.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like
I was thinking the same thing, that he breaks up with her, but it's even quicker than that, where he sees a female Blob.
I was thinking a female blob too.
Yeah, he sees a female blob, and they literally become one. So they get together and and it's just like they're just one new blob. And we can see like commercials and stuff about blobs and blob harmony or whatever. I don't know, something like where you just you get some idea that like blobs pair off with sometimes and search each other out, and what happens when that happens too. Like they literally become one giant blob at that point. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like just kind of going deeper into the lore of like what they do, but it's like just a really simple thing where it's like, he broke up with me. And maybe we sow the seed early on of a female blob. Like Rex is like, oh yeah, I dated one for a while. She was wild.
I like the idea that the blobs all look like they're all like blobs, except like maybe Derek has a little ball cap on top, and then like the female blob has a little bow or something.
Some indicator. It could just be color. Like the girls are a little more oily looking, like rainbowy looking, and the boys are just a solid
brown
color. Yeah, I was gonna say brown, but it's solid.
That's what I'm
white,
picturing.
Brown, gray,
just
black,
like
translucent.
So if we go the breaking up route, okay, we've got multiple forks in this road. Because I like the stuff with Rex. I think that's a definite, like him going to get the boyfriend.
Good subplot. Yep.
It's like he's not even asking Rex to kill him as much as he's like, I want you to rough him up a little bit, and maybe Rex is
he wants
like
to run him out of town. Yeah.
So all that is great, and you have fun and games with the girl and the blob making out, and the blob is like so like it's like she's like, and it's just like not doing anything, like it's just there, and the dad's like, oh, I hate this. So then we've got our different routes where blob meets girl blob and breaks up. Blob breaks up because of all the pressure the dad's been putting on, and it's like, okay, this is not worth it because that's more tied to the dad specifically. Him accidentally killing, like maybe they do start bonding and he still accidentally kills him somehow, and then or he thinks he kills him, and then there's this whole like art or like act where
he confesses to his daughter, and then he comes back like really quickly.
Yeah, he tries to tries to flush it down the toilet and stuff, and then eventually, and he's hiding things, and then she's like, I think he broke up with me, and he's crying, and then he's like, honey, there's something, I killed Derek. I'm sorry, I killed Derek. And then it's like she's like, you did what? He's like, I'm sorry. She's like, it's almost like I can still hear his voice. And then it's like there's gurgling from the toilet. It's like, and then it's like, and he just like comes out, and
he
comes
like, back out. Yeah.
I kind of like that. I think that's funny where he hates Derek. There's this little bounce of like, I kind of like, and he's already expressed to his family, he's like, I don't like Derek. I don't like Derek. But then they have this bonding moment, maybe hiding the car. If Derek full on dissolves the man.
I think if you had like, Rex's family show up and be more of a threat after that, they come looking for Rex, like the rest of the mechanics are his family. And so it's like his brothers and stuff. And Derek helps him get out of that. I think that's really funny. Like Derek continues to dissolve these guys as they come like one by one.
Do we want to make Derek this like this murderer of just all these dudes?
I think it's always self-defense.
We're painting it as these guys are like bad guys.
I think that might actually be the ending in terms of the blobs coming around, or at least Derek coming around to being the dad realizes that the blob can protect his daughter, and so he's willing to let her marry him.
He's like, I saw Derek kill 5 men today.
Yeah.
I know you'll be protected.
Only thing he couldn't dissolve is their teeth, and I have them right here. It's like a stack of like 52 teeth. Between like 6 guys, whatever. I like that though. I like that because that gives you a little bit of the happy ending where Derek has proven his worth. It kind of lands on the fatherly concerns, which is that the husband would be able to be like he has been for his daughter. So protecting, guiding, helping, and whatnot. And okay, Derek makes her happy and can actually protect her too. So, yeah.
And then cut to a wedding or something like that.
Yeah.
My big fat blob wedding.
Oh yeah. My big fat blob wedding. I think that's good. I think we have our story.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's funny, man. I love the idea that this is just we're anthropomorphizing this blob that doesn't really exist. It moves and it makes noise, but it doesn't, like, we're not Disneyfying it where it's like, oh, it moves like the carpet from Aladdin and you know what it's trying to express. It's like everyone else is just like, just playing these emotions on them. I like it a lot, man. I feel like we got to this one pretty quick. You got any titles for this guy?
That's a good question. I know we said like the Blob Next Door earlier. The Blob Next Door.
I don't know. I missed that when you said that, but I like that because it's like the boy next door. It would have to be
like, yeah, exactly. I think that's okay. You'd have to just really sell that he lived next door the whole time. And because instead of like her bringing him home and it being kind of this foreign thing,
I think the story we made, it can't be next door because I think there's more we're just missing a part because I think the parents would be a part of this story, the blob parents, if they're literally next door.
Exactly.
And I think that would be more of a component, whereas if she's just met him at college and then brought him home.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, he was in my what class? What would be a really funny class? He was in
pottery
class. Pottery, whatever.
I thought he was the clay at first.
Yeah.
Depending on how early we established that, hey, we're engaged, he proposed to me, we could call it Blob-in-Law.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a hard title to say a little bit. It's
Blob-in-Law.
Blob-in-Law. But I kind of like that. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it plays on the Pauly Shore son-in-law movie, so it does have that, which is nice.
Blob-in-Law.
I think it's good enough for me anyway. Like for what it is.
Would that have hyphens in it? Blob-in-Law?
Yeah, like son-in-law has hyphens. And so in terms of let's land the plane here. We got along the lines.
I have one, and it's just
very profound. Derek.
The core of the movie. Do you have anything off the dome?
There are just so many that we rattled off that I think would totally work, but nothing is standing out to me now. You'd have to just pick a moment, and I think it would probably be the heart to heart that Richard has with Derek. After he recognizes that he can protect Xana. So he's like, okay, I see in you. You may not be something that I recognize or even like and can even stand being around, but you can protect my daughter, and I think you can. That something to that degree. I'm trying to. Man.
I got it. But it's like something like that. It's like during his speech, like where he's saying, like, "Hey, you're a good." He's like, Derek, I never thought I'd say this about you, but you're a solid guy. Thank you all for listening to StoryFellas, a part of the Pemmican Studios podcast network. Check out our show notes for bonus material, links, and more. To find out more about our current projects, send us messages, and suggest ideas for the show, go to StoryFellasPodcast.com. If you liked what you heard, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community. Until next time, go make and break those stories.